We've heard a number of comments tonight about the support provincial governments, our provincial government can provide. And that's true. But we're missing another level of government, and that's the federal government. I know when I was a member of Parliament, one of the things that we made investments in London in terms of affordable housing was in relation to renovations on a number of properties. And that's one of the things that we need to be able to do, is to have the connections and relationships to access both federal and provincial governments to ensure that we get the funding necessary. No municipality can do this alone, but together we can make that difference. Thank you.
Anybody left yet to go? We got one more? Get the mic back there. Oh, perfect. We got one there.
Vahid Banaparian here. I have actually personally taken the time to talk to a lot of homeless people. I hear different stories from each and every one of them. Some of them, they've told me that they're getting disability, but the reason they cannot have a home is because there's nobody to sign for them. Because the owners of the properties, they're not going to give them a property, an apartment, a room, because there's no one to sign for them. A lot of them, they don't have identification, as I heard from one of the gentlemen here. That's another problem. But is this something that we have to take upon ourselves? Spend it from our budget? Definitely not. Provincial and federal election, they need to support us, and we need to ask for that. And we have to do this, but we got to implement a lot of important things so this doesn't continue and become a heaven for homelessness people.
All right. Is it me or you, Kate? I don't even know.
I think it's you.
Oh, okay, good. I'll ask a
Police
question.
budget.
Police budget, right, that. Let's talk about the police budget here in the City of London, because among comparable Ontario cities when it comes to size, London is among the lowest per capita in police spending. Should London's police budget be increasing? Should it be decreasing? How do we keep the city safe? I'll start with you, David.
The ideal thing would be is that the police budget would decrease because we would have less crime. I believe that if we are able to get get support for people who have substance abuse issues, we will be able to reallocate police resourcing. That is going to be the most important. If we're able to get the help for those who are diverting our police forces from public safety issues, if we're able to get them their help, they won't be causing that to happen. Yeah.
Thank you. Paul Chang. In 2014, I got involved in politics because we were going to pass the police budget. I asked my wife, let's go down and listen. $10 million to the police passed just like that. No discussions, no comments. I says to her, we should get involved. We need to, our city is under problem with break-ins, thefts, petty crimes. Our neighborhood, east, anywhere in London, it's not just one area. The unit cost is not the issue. It is the effective protection. Are we getting effective protection from the police? If we're not, then we need to increase. But if we are, then that's a right ballpark. Thank you.
Vahid Banaparian here again. Money solves a lot of problems, but on its own, it doesn't solve all the problems. We need to look at all the services that we've closed down and we've shifted onto the police shoulders. We need to implement those services back up again so people don't have to be a burden on the police. We have to let the police do what the police does best. Thank you very much.
Paul Pilato, we are going to have to expand our policing resources. We're under siege. Our streets are really struggling. Neighbors are struggling. People are dealing with a lot of petty crime and theft. It's a tragedy. So we're going to have to expand it. It's not much fun. So in order to do that properly, you're going to need a mayor in place, and I hope to be the mayor, to go down and round up the province, all of the municipalities, and start to bring some discipline around our salary negotiations with protective services. It's the only way this is going to get resolved. Otherwise, you're going to see explosions in policing or a decrease in service. And my intention is not to decrease service. People need to feel safe in our city again. That is my priority. And my second priority is to get the budgets in line so that we can manage the taxes and ensure our resources are available for other purposes. Thanks.
One of the most important questions that a council can ask at budget time to the Chief of Police is this budget going to provide effective policing in our community? Is this going to provide safety for our community? If the chief of police then says no, then you've got a lot of work to do on that budget, and you will have to increase the budget. During this past council, when we did have that controversy over the budget, those exact questions were asked of our chief. And our chief said, yes, this budget will give us the means to provide effective policing in our community. When it comes to policing in all of Ontario, it is the OPP and the Toronto City Police that actually set the tone for negotiations in our community. It is important to have a good dialogue with our provincial government, the OPP, and the City of Toronto's police to ensure that they have discipline, because if they don't, everyone else won't either.
Sean Palmer. Two things. One, with the police services, I know they like to compare to other municipalities, see what they're paid, and figure that they should get a bump. But I spoke to the police services union head 4 years ago, and his proposal was simple. They wanted flexible working hours, because most of the time they're working 16-hour shifts, and they don't really know what they're working beyond like 2 days. So they can't plan for any time off to spend time with their families or otherwise. He said that if they had that, they wouldn't ask for a pay rise. And I saw no problem with that, because I've dealt with those issues before about work-life balance. Secondly, I would also be asking the police services whether or not they are overstretched, because if they are, then they're going to need more officers. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dan Leonard. The police budget is at $106 million right now, and the next few weeks the contract negotiations are going to start up again, and they want more, and they want more, and they want more. 30% of the calls to 911 are criminal in nature. So why are people calling 911? For social issues. Some cities have a ride-along nurse, ride-along social worker. London doesn't have that. Maybe that's a case for increasing the police budget. If we could have other people in the police cruisers that don't have a gun talk down some of these crisis issues, domestic issues, that might be a case for increasing the police budget. But basically the homeless population, mental health and addiction, they don't trust people in uniforms, they don't trust authorities and officials, and the body bags are being filled up.
Thank you for the question. Our London police are operating at the lowest cost per staff of any city in Ontario, with 100,000 people or more. And they're being asked to do more and more with issues around opioid abuse and addiction, mental health issues, family disputes. And now we have another potential challenge, and that is when cannabis becomes legalized in the next few weeks, and how they're going to be able to handle that. We are asking our police to do more in terms of keeping our families safe. And with all of that backdrop, I think it's fair to say all of us in broad terms, and me specifically, support our police. But when asking them to do more, I think we need to ensure that they have the budget to be able to do that.
Jonas White here. I do support the police budget that they just put forward. I took a detailed look at it. It seems pretty good to me. I would actually expand the number of detectives, and I would increase foot patrol in this ward, especially at nighttime, especially on the weekends. Thanks.
Jordan Minter. So we all agree we need the police. They need the funding. I'm hearing petty crime. There's human trafficking here. Right? A hush falls over the room. People are being taken. There's gang violence. People are being murdered in parking lots of Tim Hortons. There's break-and-enters. There's a sophisticated bike stealing ring, of all things. I saw 5 people strip a bike in a minute. One got the tires, one got the light, the other got the seat, the other one was working on the lock. There's 5 of them. What am I going to say? Make better choices, By the time I call anyone, they're gone, they're on the move. Crime is here. We have to fight it. We have to unlock the coffers. We got to spend more.
Mohammed Musa. As one of the candidates said before me, ideally it would go down. But the reality is that it needs to possibly be increased unless we can find savings where the city can take over certain aspects of what the police are doing. We do need more foot patrol, but we don't need the police to be responding to noise complaints when that should be a bylaw issue. That should be a bylaw enforcement issue. What the police need for the protection and what for our protection and for what they require to deal with Ward 13 and everything else is what the budget ends up being.